Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hello Velocity podcast, where we help corporate women level up without burning out. I'm your host, Brittany Canaski, leadership coach and trainer here at Hello Velocity, and welcome to the season finale of season 3 of the Hello Velocity podcast. This is our 12th week talking about stress and burnout, and I don't know about you, but this season has been so helpful for me, both personally and for my clients, and being able to support them even better. And I thought I knew a lot about burnout coming into this year and this season of the podcast especially, but I just keep learning more and more, and it's really, really been helpful and inspiring me to dive deeper into it for my business, because the more I talk about it, the more people I'm hearing that this is an ongoing issue for them or a concern for them, or even if it's not for themselves, it's for their team. So this is something you're probably going to continue to hear me talk about even more outside of the podcast. And know that you can always reach out to me as I continue to work through this topic and be able to help you as much as I can with it. So today I'm kind of looking back at this whole season of the podcast, and I want to do a first high-level summary of what we've learned about burnout. And I want to then dive deeper into this new angle of what I've been thinking about the last few weeks. Again, as I've been reflecting on this and as I've been doing webinars about this topic too, and hearing from you all live in the moment about what's going on and what's top of mind, I've thought of some new angles of how we can approach this going forward as well. So let's first level set. What is burnout? As a reminder, burnout is a state of chronic physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged and unmanaged stress. So it's not just something that quick happens overnight and all of a sudden you're burnt out because you had a really busy day yesterday. That's not it. And if we've learned anything again in these last 12 weeks, it's really complicated. There are so many different factors involved in this. There's so many different ways it shows up for so many different people. And that's actually a question I've been getting a lot from people, are signs that you might be burnt out or on your way to burnout. So some of those signs are, of course, you're likely going through some sort of busy season, either at work or life, or potentially both. You may find yourself escaping, I like to call it escaping more with TV, social media, or something to turn off your brain. I honestly have caught myself saying that, is I just need to turn off my brain. I just need to watch trashy TV. That's one of my signs. You may have more anxiety or day-to-day stressors that are emotionally or mentally weighing on you. You may find yourself withdrawing socially, so you're not spending as much time with friends or loved ones. You might find yourself drinking alcohol or eating more often and using excuses like you had a long day or you deserve it. Again, these are quotes, and I'm not here to call anyone out or judge anyone. Honestly, a lot of these are my own patterns that I've seen, and I want this, as always, to be a safe space for you. This is not a judgment zone. This is consider what relates to you, what resonates with you, and also there may be other versions for you. You may also find yourself getting irritated more quickly and more often, whether it's at home with your loved ones or at work. I've seen it both ways. You may find yourself feeling too overwhelmed to keep up with your usual day-to-day house chores or day-to-day activities and tasks that you need to keep up on. And often you're likely not sleeping well because you have this long built-up stress in your body, on your mind, weighing on you 24/7. And my favorite learning about burnout over the last year, which we dove into in episode 2, so go back to that if you haven't listened to it yet. But at a high level summary here, my favorite study that I found in the last year about burnout is the jobs demands resource model of burnout, which essentially defined burnout as this idea of your job demands outweighing your job resources. So essentially what's being asked of you is more than the support that you have. And we broke that down in episode 2, and I had a webinar about it recently too, and it's been really helpful, I think, to make these factors that are causing burnout more tangible for people. And the more I think about it, it really comes back to this idea that we've talked about in the past of essentially you can't pour from an empty cup. So your job demands are what's you pouring out of your own cup, and the job resources are what's refilling your cup. And obviously it's not just factors at work that are causing your burnout. We've talked a lot about personal topics as well this season. And as I continue to dive into this, I started thinking about, well, isn't there then also personal demands and personal resources impacting burnout? So I've been thinking about it over the last few weeks, and I've applied this same formula of demands outweighing your resources to personal topics. So some of these we've already covered in the podcast, but also I've thought of so many others that are coming up with my clients. And then there's a lot that I've come across that personally that have contributed to my own burnout. So I've compiled a list, and spoiler alert, this is all going to be included in a free download that I'm including in the description for this video so that you have access to it to go through it one by one and really think about how each of these are influencing your day-to-day stress and burnout. And I wanted to cover it all here so you can think about it for yourself, what's coming up, and I can give some more examples here. And of course, we need to remember that these are going to change day to day depending on when you do this reflection, and that's okay. But maybe consider redoing this every different maybe season of your life, season of work, as things are changing. Maybe it's every few months, maybe it's every month you're checking in on this to see which of these factors could be causing your burnout, or that could be showing that you're on your way to burnout. Because ultimately, we want to be as proactive as we can to prevent burnout. And these are a lot of factors that we want to be considering, but it's likely way too much to do all of this at once. So first of all, recognize that and give yourself a break. You don't have to make all of these perfect immediately just because I'm talking about them today. No, I want you to approach this with grace. Approach yourself with grace. Give yourself some time and space to think about these, to start implementing changes one by one. That's okay. Every little step when you're considering these factors is going to be helpful, and you're not going to be changing everything overnight, and that's okay. I do feel like I have to say that a lot, and I do because there's so many of us ambitious, high-achieving women that are listening here, and I'm raising my hand. I am one of them. I know how we think, and we tend to want to change everything overnight. When we get some sort of solution to something or a framework for something, it's like, all right, now I know this is going to help everything. I'm going to do it all tomorrow. No, that's going to cause more burnout. So check yourself. It's okay. Take a deep breath and take one step at a time. So let's dive into these personal factors that may be causing your burnout. And again, we have the two different sides of the equation, just like we did on the work side of the burnout factors. So this first side, we have personal demands, or essentially what's pouring out of your cup, or how are you pouring out of your cup? And there may be more than these, but I didn't want to overwhelm us with too many, but these are the most common I'm seeing both with myself and my clients. So as I'm sharing these, as always, take what resonates most with you. Consider maybe one thing that you could do for the top factor here that is really influencing the stress and burnout in your life. These are not in any particular order, so don't worry about, level of importance or anything like that. Just, again, what resonates most with you. All right, first is home care workload. What I mean by that is just the daily tasks you have to maintain or improve your household. These are your cooking, cleaning, maintenance, repairs, things like that. And I know so many people complain about these things of, man, essentially it's all the adulting stuff. Like, man, it's so hard to be an adult sometimes of all these things you have to keep track of, even doctor's appointments you're scheduling, or I just got the notice in the mail to renew my registration on my car. All these little things that can add up pretty quickly. Or even, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? I think it's a question most people have every single day or most days, and it really can weigh on you mentally or physically. Then we have caregiving. Again, we had a whole episode about this season, but it's the physical and emotional support that you're providing to others, whether it's your own children, whether it's certain dependents that are relying on you, like an elderly parent, or it could be maybe friends or loved ones who are going through a difficult situation and you're helping them maybe on more of a short-term basis. Then we have emotional stressors. So these are personal situations, relationships, beliefs, or other triggers that are weighing on you emotionally. Some examples here: toxic relationships, loss of a loved one, political or social injustices, racism and sexism. All these different things, obviously there's a million different examples that I could list here. All of these are draining you emotionally and mentally. So we need to think about where are you leaking energy? Again, where are you pouring out of your cup? And which are the highest priorities for you to address? Then we have mental stressors. So the external events or internal pressures that cause you some sort of like mental load or additional cognitive load, or what I like to call mental gymnastics. It has you thinking more and it's draining you from a mental capacity. So these could be habits of your own, internal habits like perfectionism or people pleasing, or it could be how you're dealing with certain situations like code switching at work, recognizing maybe you're the only person of color in the room, maybe you're the only woman in the room, and how are you changing and have to think differently in order to almost translate yourself in those situations. That's additional cognitive load that you're putting on yourself that could be draining you. Then we have finances. What are your personal financial expenditures? And this is an actual, more of a physical way that you could be draining a bank account. Think about all your daily finances, rent, groceries, transportation, debt, entertainment. Where are you spending your money? Is there certain areas you're spending too much or it's draining you too much? And honestly, of course, this could be causing you mental strain as well when your expenditures continue to be going up and your income is not changing. Or have there been any other changes to your finances recently that could be causing you more stress? Then I also want you to think about your physical environment. Are there daily demands of where you live or who you live with that could be draining you in a certain way? So it could be not loving where you live, whether it's the neighborhood, whether it's your home or apartment. What about sharing your home with someone you don't like or someone that could be draining you, or not having boundaries at home, not having a space to yourself? It could be having annoying neighbors or mean neighbors or whatever it is, or just not feeling comfortable or safe in your home or neighborhood. These can be very draining. And then, of course, thinking about our physical health. Are there certain physical ailments, disabilities, or even just occurrences that can disrupt, change, or lower the quality of your daily life? Obviously, there are a million things we could list here, but some common topics that come up with my clients could be things like high blood pressure, diabetes, broken bone, or hearing loss. But then again, thinking about occurrences like pregnancy, perimenopause, menopause, these are all things that are changing your physical abilities on a day-to-day basis. And lastly here, think about your mental health. Are there mental health diagnoses or issues that may be impacting your daily life? Some common topics that come up with clients: anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, PTSD, bipolar, anything like that. If there's something that is weighing on you mentally or again impacting your daily life, these are things that could be causing burnout if left unaddressed, or if you're not properly getting the support that you need. Okay, I know I just listed a lot of different personal demands for you to think about, but there's a reason that there's so many. There's just so much happening in our day-to-day lives that we are usually on autopilot. We are kind of going through the motions. A lot of these things are just things we're not always thinking about how they could be impacting us, how they could be draining us, or we're thinking so much about it and we're not taking action on what we can be doing to support them. So that's what this other side of the burnout equation, our resources, or how we're filling our own cups, how we're getting the support that we need, can help this first half of what we just listed, all of those demands. We don't want these to be in silo. We want to think about how they can work together to help reduce the demand on us, or to, again, help keep our cup filled, so that if we continue to drain and drain and drain, we have systems, we have support, we have structures that can continue to fill our cup. This is the most important part. So again, since there's so many examples today, I can't give examples for every single situation that could be draining you to give you recommendations of what that support can look like. I'm just giving some high-level areas and places to look, and you need to do some analysis yourself or some consideration yourself to think about what are those next steps for you. And of course, I'm always here to support you, so please reach out if you do want some of that one-on-one support to brainstorm what this could look like for you, how you can build those systems, those structures, those habits that can really help you keep your cup filled. This is honestly what I do on a daily basis with my clients, and it works. It will help you to reduce your burnout, to maybe get rid of burnout over time, and just reduce those daily stressors so that you have the support that you need. You can create those boundaries that you need, and you can continue to perform at a high level, but in a sustainable way. So you can always reach out to me, book a discovery call on my website, and we can talk more about your situation specifically. Okay, now let's talk about those personal resources or support to fill your cup. Something I want to address first before I give these examples is something my therapist had mentioned to me last year, is that she doesn't like the term self-care. Instead, she uses self-management. And this has been one of those very eye-opening terms for me to think about how we're approaching our day-to-day life differently and how we're taking care of ourselves, thinking about it in a different way. It's not self-care as a luxury. Most of us think of it that way of, oh, we have to earn relaxation, or we have to earn, this bubble bath, or taking care of ourselves, or manicure, pedicure, whatever that is for you. A lot of us think of it like that, like we have to earn it. But I love this term self-management, and I think it fits in here super well, that it's this ongoing consistency, it's the habits, it's the daily management of yourself, your life, and how you're showing up to continue to fill up your cup. It's not I had a hard day and I need to refill my cup. It's every single day I'm filling my cup before anything even happens, and during the day, and after a busy day. So it's more this maintenance plan, if you will, of taking care of ourselves instead of letting ourselves get empty. So everything in this list about personal resources, I think, is part of that self-management. And I think it's super important for us to consider these. And again, the same caveat as before, we can't change all of these overnight. We can't address all of them all at once. That's way too overwhelming and will cause more burnout. So instead, think about in this section the one that is most important to you that you want to start making some changes towards. The first personal resource we need to be considering is our physical well-being. And this is all about proactively taking care of your body. This includes working out regularly, getting enough sleep consistently, eating nutritious foods, literally all these things that we know that we need to be doing consistently, but also they're probably the first things to go when we start to get busy. So these are often very common topics for my clients to come in with that we're addressing pretty quickly in our coaching partnerships because they are the first to go as busy women in leadership. Then we have our emotional well-being, and this is recognizing and managing your emotions in a healthy, supportive way. So this looks like managing our stress, not letting our emotions bottle up, and expressing and processing our emotions. I know this can also be really hard, especially for women, that we either like to bottle them up and only, have certain situations where we let them out, or we're told that we're too emotional, so we try to hide them anyways. So we need to think about our relationship to emotions. How can we process them maybe more quickly? How can we move through them more quickly, or in more appropriate settings, ways, and outlets? Next, I want to talk about our mental well-being. And I know we just talked about emotional well-being, and oftentimes these terms are used interchangeably. But here today, how I want to talk about it is more of our psychological well-being, which I think isn't discussed too much openly. We do tend to kind of lump all of these together. So I do want to separate them intentionally so we make sure we are addressing them appropriately. So this one is more that mental clarity. So it's our ability to think clearly, solve problems, and adapt to change. And we're only able to do this when we're not always being on mentally so that we can recharge mentally. So some examples here: relaxing without having to earn it. Number one thing that I hear with clients is that, again, we think we have to earn this relaxation, but we need to build this in as a system, as a structure, so that we are giving our brain a break and it will recharge our battery. So some other ways we can be doing this: meditation, journaling, spending time outside, screen-free time will be very helpful for this. Learning something new for fun, reading, things like that. We don't need to be constantly consuming, like on our phones, on TV, things like that. We need some time away. We need some time to recharge our mental battery, and these are all great ways to start. Then we have our financial well-being. So what's your ability to maintain financial stability, earn more than you spend, and attain your financial goals? Thinking about your income, savings, investments, donations. Are you hitting those goals? how secure do you feel financially? And do you have the support and resources that you need to meet your goals? Another big personal resource for us is community. Having those people in your life that you have some sort of shared interest or values with, who we can rely on each other for support going forward. This could be anyone like your friends, neighbors, volunteer groups, church groups, book clubs, social clubs, any different groups and communities that you're a part of or you want to be a part of. This will help you feel included. This will make you feel part of something bigger and, again, have that support that you need when you need it, or even give you a place to serve others, which can really fill your cup when you're showing up with service. Next is our spiritual well-being. This is very different for each person, but essentially this idea of having a sense of purpose or a belief in something greater than yourself. So of course, this could be your religious beliefs, religious practices, going to church, prayer, things like that. It could be living in alignment with your values. I know values is something I talk about all the time with clients and on this podcast, and having that fulfillment of understanding your values and living consistently in alignment with that gives people a lot of purpose in their day-to-day life and long-term life. It could be more spiritual practices like meditation or yoga, things like that. Whatever that is for you, whatever, again, is filling your cup through spiritual practices or purpose. And then one I don't think gets talked about a lot in this sense is safety and security. Do you feel safe in your day-to-day life? I think this might be something that's getting challenged more often, but we're not thinking about it, how this is such a strong foundation for most people, and we need to maintain that foundation. So are you feeling safe in your home, in your neighborhood, when you're participating in social activities? And is it allowing you to show up in those situations, right? And that safety and security allows you to show up in all of these other situations and activities that we've talked about already today. It really is that strong foundation for us. And our last one here for personal resources is joy and play. What are those activities, hobbies that you regularly participate in purely out of joy and play? So you're not doing it to make money, you're not doing it to compete with other people, you're not doing it to prove yourself or learn something. You're doing it because you love it, you enjoy it. It lights you up, it brings a smile to your face. There is no outcome necessarily. You enjoy the process of doing it. I think a lot of times we tend to put a lot of weight on our hobbies, or they have to be super structured, or you have to make money from it, or whatever it is. But no, just something that brings you joy. We all need more of this in our lives. I guarantee it. So it could be anything from dancing, knitting, puzzling, origami, playing instruments, listening to music, playing video games, playing different activities like golf or pickleball. What are those things that really fill your cup, that are pure joy, bring a smile to your face just talking about it with other people? What are those things, and how can you do more of them? All right, again, I know there was a lot to cover today. There's a ton of both personal demands and personal resources that we need to be considering when it comes to our burnout. And to summarize this again, we want to lower the personal demands and increase our personal resources so that we're always refilling our own cup. We're not draining ourselves. We're not getting completely empty, because that ultimately is what will cause that burnout. We want to, if you're currently in burnout, we want to reduce those symptoms. Or if you're on your way to burnout, we want to either slow or stop the process completely so that you are refilling that cup and not becoming burnt out. So you are likely listening to this while doing something else, and you may not have been able to write these specific things down. So I do have a free download for you in the notes for today's episode called What's Causing Your Burnout? So please download that to get the full list, and it also includes the list from episode 2, which are your job demands and job resources. So you can go through all of these different factors and rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, and helping you identify what is causing your burnout, and to think through ideas of what you need to be focusing on next in order to reduce that burnout. As a reminder, this is our last episode for season 3, and obviously season 3 was all about burnout. Season 4 will have a new theme, and we'll be coming back in September with that. And in the meantime, sign up for my newsletter where you can keep in touch and continue your learning with different blog posts, different webinars and other videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, please do that, where I'll be posting more videos and content in the meantime before season 4. And please, if you have any ideas of different topics you want to hear about or other people you think I should be talking to and interviewing, leave a comment on whichever platform you're listening on or send me an email. My email will be in the show notes as well. Give me your thoughts, share what you'd love to learn more about, and who I should be talking with going forward. Thank you, as always, for listening today. I can't wait to come back for season 4. See you then.